First thing, so this is about data. We'll write that down. Before we even get to any of this stuff here, you see the first thing they have there is a pictograph. You don't see pictographs a whole lot, but when you do, the first thing you should do is what? You see that thing there with the picture of the automobiles, and you say, wow, those are pretty. But the first thing you do when you see any graph is, anybody got some? No, you don't have to draw the graphs. That would take you forever. Unless it asks you to draw a graph, then you would, but this one doesn't. Always look at the titles, please. Because while you look at that and you see cars, do you have any idea what that means about cars? No. So you look at the top and it says U.S. car and truck production, which makes you very, 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 very excited. And then you look and you see that there's 3 cars there, but really, are there only 3 cars made in the United States in the state of Michigan? No. So you always want to look at the titles and the keys. And that keys tells you that every car stands for how many? Is it 1 million? 1 million cars. So that's getting off on the right foot there. So you look at that and you say, oh, Michigan produces how many millions? 3 million, Ohio 2 million, Kentucky 1, all the other states, it looks like 5 million. So that's your pictograph. That was exciting, wasn't it? Wait a second. Let me look and see where we're at here. I'm not sure. Where is the bar graph? Oh, so we are going to actually do number 1. That's what that little top line for there. We're going to take that pictograph and make a bar graph out of it. So here I went to all the work to give you a nice little thing for bar graph. What would this bar graph look like? Well, instead of using little cars, we're actually going to do bars. And we'll do them going across like this. What were the different states? We had Michigan. We had what? Help me out here, people.
Ohio.
Oh, Ohio. We had
Kentucky.
Missouri.
Other states.
And others. I guess I better put that in there. All right. Then we need to decide what will each one of these lines be worth. So you need to know what's the most. How many millions most is it? What's the highest? How many did the other have?
5 million.
5. So I guess we just make each one of these what? 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, 6 million, 7 million, 8 million. And I can't just put those numbers there. Why? Because it's not just 1. What would you have to put down here? In millions. And what else am I forgetting, ladies and gentlemen? Oh, look, I spelled million. Is that how you spell millions?
No.
See, make the 906. Millions. And then I need to put a title on my graph, which is
Cars.
U.S. car production and truck, but we'll just go cars. With Donald Trump in there, I'm sure this will get a lot bigger. And then it's just a matter of filling in or drawing the bars. What color shall we go? Let's make the bars green. Michigan made how many?
3 million.
So Michigan gets a nice little bar up to the 3. Make that nice. Ohio only had what? 1?
2.
Ohio had 2. Kentucky had 2.
1.
People are a little slow. Missouri had,
1.
and then the others were
5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And ladies and gentlemen, that is as good as a bar graph is going to get. But that's not the real business we're going to have here. Very good. Now, what we really are going to look at today is the next thing, which is a circle graph. Or a pie chart, or a pie graph. When or why would you use a circle graph over top of a bar graph? Would there be any reason why seeing a circle graph would be more beneficial than a bar graph? Circle graphs tell you, Colin,
It's mostly used for like hours of the day and lots of
well, you can do hours of the day, but it doesn't have to be hours of the day. Usually when you're trying to show how much of the whole, or percents, or what percent. If you wanted to see, when you have the bar graph, you can't really tell what chunk Michigan really makes because there's all those other things. But in a circle graph, you can, if you want to see what the others are. So the question is, how do we make our circle graph? Well, let me write down the thing. Michigan again was what, 3 million? Ohio was 2. Kentucky was 1. Missouri was 1. And other was 5. How do we figure out how big each pie piece is for my graph? How am I going to figure out, how big should Michigan be? Zach, Zappia, you had a suggestion. Yeah, Victoria?
You could add all of them together and then cut it into the pieces that the total is.
Okay, that's a great suggestion. So I could add out what my total is. If I add these together, 3 plus 2 is 5, 6, 7. There are 12 million cars total made. And Victoria had a great idea there. So the question is though, Victoria, how do I divide my graph into 12 equal pie pieces? Any suggestions? Oh, here, let's do that. Okay. So there's my half. What does that do for me? You're close. You could kind of do that. Technically, you could do that because I've cut it in half.
Then you can divide each side by 6.
Well, I really could cut it in quarters as well.
Oh yeah.
Oops. So now I've got it in quarters, but I need 12ths. So if I have it in fourths, but I need 12ths, how many pieces does each quarter need to be cut into? Trev?
2.
No, 2 would only give me 8. I need 12. Each quarter would have to be cut into 3. So, watch, look, and learn. Rather than just go willy-nilly or Willie Nelson, you could do this. Cut this into 3. Try to get it equal. Cut this into 3. And then you could take this one, go to its diagonal guy over there. Take this one, go to its diagonal over there. Same thing over here. I probably shouldn't have done it quite this dark, but we're just in 6th grade, so what difference? Wow. Now, I'll entertain any suggestions as to how else I could have done it. Anybody? Nathan?
We cut it into 6 and then cut those into
Into 2s. But what's an easy way to cut a circle into 6? Oh.
Like-
Yeah, you could have, I guess. Cut it into 6. Is there an easy way to cut things into 6?
and a half and then do like an X.
Let me think about that. So you cut it in half, and then you did an X. Sure, and you could cut each one of those. I'm looking for something even more different than that. Mathematically, how could I do it? Since you guys know how to use a protractor, how many degrees are in a circle? Yeah, that won't work there too well, Zach. How many degrees are in a circle? Victoria?
360?
If I know there's 360 degrees in a circle, how many equal pieces am I cutting my circle into? 12. So I could divide this. And what is 360 divided by 12?
30.
Yep, 30 degrees. Every one of these little wedges will be 30 degrees. So if you were really getting ambitious and wanted to do that, like Colin said, if we did a day, we would have to take our 360 divided by 24 Each hour would then take what? 15 degrees. Actually, it's just cutting those in half again. So here we go. Michigan takes up 3. Let's use this lime green for Michigan. So let's make it bigger. Let's make it bigger. Come on, Michigan. So Michigan is going to take up this much of that paragraph. Michigan takes up that much of the graph. Then we can throw some labels in there. Which is what fraction of the graph? 3/12, which reduces down to 1/4, which is what percent? 25%. Michigan makes 1/4 of the cars in the United States. Ohio, how many?
2.
Just 2. So we take up 2 pie pieces with good old Ohio. Look at how colorful that is. Make it a little bigger. Two 12s, which is 1/6. Gosh, do we know what percent 1/6 is? 16 2/3. And then Missouri and Kentucky all just get 1. So here's 1. And here's 1. Ooh, that's big. Kentucky and Missouri. And then my last one is, what do I have left? I think, kind of like purple. Yep, the others. And this makes up. Brown. Which is 5/12. And that just gives you a little bit better of an idea of how much time do we have here. Yes, it doesn't work very well if you're doing the same color. Max. You just have a bunch of, unless you do like Maryland and you shade a little dark to each one to get some color. Now, you do need to take out a blank piece of paper. Actually, you'll need a couple more blank pieces of paper. You might need 3 more blank pieces of paper by the time it's all done. Which may or may not get you out of homework, I don't know.
Yay!
Might be worth it, huh? On top of the first blank piece of paper, write line plot. And if you don't remember from last year what line plot was, line plot was that thing where, well, first of all, we have to have some data. And I suppose we could collect some data. How about this? Did we do sibling last year?
Yeah.
What else could we do that's more exciting than
What's your favorite?
that? So we can't do quantitative, qualitative, we have to do quantitative. How many pets? Let's do that. Tell me how many pets you have at home. That would be goldfish, dogs, cats.
Cows?
No, let's not go with cows because you might have more than.
2 barn cats?
Oh, let's just go with house pets.
No.
Animals, let's do animals you have in your house or that go in your house. They don't have to stay in there. Quickly, Sam.
Oh, a dog?
I don't care what it is, just tell me if there.
2.
2.
Is 8.
What are they, cats? Colin, do you have any?
1.
Marilyn?
5.
5.
8.
8. You got fish,
Uh,
birds. Brooklyn?
0.
0. I'm with that, that's the same thing I got. Cool. He says, do not know for sure. 1, Eddie, Madison.
4.
Huh?
4.
4 forgotten, would you? Andrew?
1.
1, Rach.
5.
5, Zach.
0.
0, Jordan.
7.
7. Good. Cat?
Because all my cat had kittens, so.
I'm gonna guess that, Julie, you have the same as Sammy unless you're harboring one in your room. Oh, Ellie?
1.
Peyton? 2. Nathan?
3.
3. Victoria?
2.
2. Addie?
1.
1. Tyler?
1.
1. Maggie?
1.
Jacob?
0.
0. There you go. Good for you. Alright, so this is raw data. That's not my line plot. This is what the line plot is. That's where you make a number line. And I go from 0 all the way to 8. So I'm going to label it 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then for every data point, you just put an X above that number. Remember doing this?
Yeah, I get this.
So there's an X above the 1 for this one. And then we have a 2, an 8, a 1, a 5, an 8, a 0, a 3, a 1, a 4, a 1, a 5, another 0, 7, a 2, couple of 1s, a 3, we're gonna get some sort of an odd shape here, a 2, a couple more 1s, another 1, oh wait, did I do that right?
Yeah.
I think I goofed up, didn't I? Stop, where did I start putting zeros for 1s?
Close to the beginning.
Right there maybe? Because there's my 3. There was my 3, here's a 2, 3 1s, and a 0. I think I got that right now. There is my line plot. There is my line plot. And remember, when you do line plots, we sometimes look for these things we call clusters, which are groupings. That would be a cluster, which would tell you that in the 6th grade, usually they have 0, 1, or 2 animals in their house. There's some that have a few more, some have a few less. Remember that for line plot? Good. Now with that, we have to do some other stuff. And I'm going to copy this, unfortunately. If I can. Because we then need to talk about, you'll remember this from before. Yep. It's not what I wanted to do. I need to move it up. Ladies and gentlemen, up. These are called, sorry. And you can write this on your piece of paper, but then you're going to have to, these are called measures of central tendency. And I don't know if I would just go with it. Oh, I lost my line too. Remember that.
And your arrow at the end. It's not much.
Best I can do there. And the 4 things we do with measures of central tendency are we find the mean, we find the median, we can find the mode, and we can find the range. Anybody remember what the median or the mean is? Mean is the same thing as average. I suppose we could probably find the average here, not too hard. That's pretty easy. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 11, 13, and 6 is 19, 23, 33, 40, 56 is our average, or our total. How many kids are in here? Anybody sick today?
Yeah.
How many do we actually have? 23 are here right now? Alright, so there's 246, what's this, 100, about 2.4. Let's just call our average about 2.5 pets per house. That's about our average. We're not going to get real crazy there. Now, median is the middle. Now, usually when we do the middle, we line the numbers up side by side, so it would look like this. There are, what, 5 zeros? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ones. 3 twos. 2 threes. A 4. 2 fives. A 7 and 2 eights. And we need to find the number that's in the middle of that whole set of numbers. And luckily for you children, there are 23. 23, if it's an odd number, there is an exact middle number. Does anybody know what number that would be? Which number?
2.
Which number is in the exact middle? I'm not asking for what number it is, but how many do I go over to get to the middle?
11.
Nope. 12. I go over 12 because if I go to the 12th number, there's 11 on this side and 11 on that side. The 12th number is right directly in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The mode of this is 1. Oh wait, median, sorry. Getting a little crazy here. The median is the number 1 because it is the 12th number over. If there was an even number, let's say there was one more 8 down here, then there's no exact middle, but these two numbers would be in the middle, and you'd have to find their average. What's the average of 1 and 2? Does anybody know? 1.5. Add them together, 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. But there's not, so let's not worry about it. The mode, ladies and gentlemen, is the one that happens the most. So if you look at all these, which one happens the most? It's right here. It's pretty easy to see there.
Really?
Number 1. And then the range is the difference between the smallest and the biggest. Difference between the small and big. So you'd have to subtract 8 minus 0 is 8. So the range is 8 right there. Well, that's fun. Now, what you need to do with that, children, you need to take out a blank piece of paper and write measures of central tendency on it. Take a blank piece of paper, write measures of central tendency, and then write mode, median, mean, and range. And then in big letters write, what am I going to write? C line plot. That's where we took your notes, didn't you? You did it on the same piece of paper as line plot. Rather than rewrite all those notes, just write C line plot. And then one more. Sam, you confused?
What was the third one?
Mode, median, mean, and range. It doesn't like my thing to write right here. Mean and range. And then, last but not least, one more thing. Wow. Wow. We're going to go with stem and leaf plot. One more way to write numbers down. stem and leaf plot. And I need you to write some numbers down here. 47, 48, 49, 50, 50, what? Yeah, I just need some numbers. Here, let's do this. Write these numbers down. 50, 55, 60, 62, 73, 51, 62, 72, 53, 58, 69, 70. If you are doing a stem and leaf plot, it's another way to organize numbers. Here is how it works. You draw a straight line down, draw a line across. This part right here is the stem. This is the leaf. The leaf, boys and girls and children of all ages, is always the last digit. You will only have single digits here. You could have more than a single digit here depending on what your numbers are. But in this case we won't because I only have double digits number. Now what I need to think about, what's the smallest number I have? Really the best way to think about it is the stem is the tens place. I go from the 50s all the way up to the 70s, right? So there's the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s. And then I just fill in like this. So this is 50, so it's a 5, and then I put a 0 here. You put those together, it's 50. 55, I would put a 5 here. 50 and 5, 55. 60 would be written like that. 62, 6 and the 2. And I put them in order. I don't want to put my 5 in front of the 0. 73 would look like this. 51. 62, I put a second 2 there. 72, 53, 58, 69, and a 70. So there's this is the stem. Boom. If you were doing 105, you would put a 10 here and a 5 down there. You had 105. It's not that difficult there. If you, are you looking in your book? Let's look at page 267. Are you at 267? In the middle, directly in the middle of the page, there is a stem and leaf plot. What are those numbers in the stem and leaf plot? If I asked you to read them off for me, they would be 47, 48, and 49. 50, 51, 52, 53. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes today's very 28 and a half minutes.